Hey there, guitar fanatics. If you've been checking out the channel, welcome back. And if you're new, a warm welcome to you. Today, we are going to take a deep dive into the Southern rock classic Spooky by the Atlanta Rhythm Section. The solos in this song were played by a great and very underrated guitar player named Billy. The song itself has key changes. It has some diminished chords. It's mainly in the Dorian tonality. Barry was able to play over all that stuff and still keep his rock and roll attitude and tone and phrasing. So in this video, we're going to break the song down, learn the rhythm part, then get into the solos and get you some spooky skills for your guitar playing. Oh, and before we get started, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. So I want to start by talking about the rhythm part, the chord changes of the song itself. So the intro starts off with the keyboard player playing three notes, A, B flat, B, and then B minor 7 chord. That happens 4 times. Then it goes into the main part of the verse progression, which is E minor 7 to A13. Now, something I want to get into a little bit is that the chord voicings that are used on the recording are probably not the same chord voicings that you would use, say, if you were in a project that didn't have a keyboard player. In the recording, the keyboard player is filling up a lot of space, and the guitarist is actually using pretty sparse voicings. So in the recording, with the luxury of a keyboard player, I'm hearing triads, basically. In the first verse, for the E minor 7, he's playing basically a G triad at the 7th fret with B, D, and G. And then he's playing G, C sharp, and F sharp down at the 5th fret for the A13th. Now in the second verse, he switches that up. He plays a G triad. It's the second inversion of the G triad, also at the 7th fret. And then goes to what amounts to a second inversion F sharp minor. So he's got a C sharp, an F sharp, and an A. So it's really cool how he uses those different voicings to open up space and stay out of the sonic space of the keyboard player. So the rhythm part goes through that E minor 7 to A13th change 6 times. And then we come to a point where you sit on the E minor 7 for 2 measures. Then it goes to the A13th, hits on the downbeat, and then everything pauses, which is a really cool effect. And then that is followed by an A sharp diminished chord. That's 1 measure. Next comes another E minor 7 to A13 change. Then 1 more measure of E minor. Then we got the tag that sets up the next verse. Now, I had always heard that tag as a B7 plus 9, or the Hendrix chord, but going back and listening closely to make this video, I realized that it's actually just a B minor 7, identical to the intro. Then we're into the next verse, which is identical in structure, except at the end of that verse, there is 2 measures of the tag, and in the second measure, it changes key up a half step. So now we're going to be playing in the solo over F minor 7 and B flat 13. So let's dig into this Billy solo. The way he plays this solo is very vocal. To me, he sounds like a more polished Billy Gibbons. I'm going to play through the solo, and then we'll break it down after that. Check it out. solo starts off with a phrase that is a lot like the vocal melody. The notes are a little different, but the rhythm is very similar. The first phrase he plays is 7 notes long, and he establishes the Dorian tonality right away. It's at the 8th position. He starts off by playing a C note at the 8th fret of the D string, then a D note at the 7th note of the G string. That D note is our special Dorian note. He goes back to the C note, then he alternates between E flat at the 8th fret of the G string and the C note at the 10th fret of the D string. Give a little vibrato to that last E flat and hit that C note, slide out of it a little bit. The little nuances like the vibrato on that E flat note are so important. They make those notes really pop out just at the right time. So it's the kind of thing you want to start listening for. From there, he drops down to the 6th position. He plays F at the 8th fret of the A string. He plays A flat at the 6th fret of the D string. Back to the F. And that first F, you kind of slide up into it. Then he plays 3 B flats. Now the first 2, he sort of bends them, puts a little English on them. They're microtonal almost. They don't quite get up to a half step. The first one is actually less of a bend than the second one. The second one almost gets up to the B. Then he plays B flat, A flat, F, E flat, and then F, and then A flat. Put a little vibrato on both those notes, but be careful not to bend them out of pitch. He ends up that part of the solo, those first 4 bars, by bending up the D at the 7th fret of the G string, half a step, and then releasing it, giving it a little vibrato, and then you re-articulate it and slide out of it. It's a fast slide, and it sort of punctuates those first 4 bars and gets us ready to go into the next section. Played slowly, that whole first section sounds like this. Next, we're going to jump up an octave, and we're going to be playing around the F minor pentatonic pattern 1 up at the 13th fret. And we're playing primarily the same notes as we did in the last phrase with some variation. He plays in that very vocal sounding manner again to start things out. We're going to be all on the B string. We're going to play 8 notes. We play C, D, C. And then we're going to alternate between that E flat and the C again. Then we move to the 15th fret of the G string and we play a B flat note, but we bend it up a whole step. Release it down to the B flat and pull off to the A flat at the 13th fret as the last note over that F chord. Now the chord switches to B flat 13th. He plays B flat at the 15th fret, A flat at the 13th fret. Then you're going to bend the B flat at the 13th fret up a whole step again. Then we're going to go up to the 17th fret, the C note, slide down to B flat, play our A flat at the 13th fret, and then we're going to play F at the 15th fret of the D string, E flat at the 13th fret, the F again at the 15th fret. Now we're going to go back to that A flat at the 13th fret of the G string, but this time we're going to hit it and we're going to do a pick harmonic. And we get that pick harmonic by choking up on the pick to where the leading edge of the pick and the flesh of the side of our thumb are even. And we hit the string with the pick and the thumb sort of simultaneously. And the skin of the thumb, if you do it in the right spot on the string, you're going to brush a harmonic node and you're going to get that note to jump out higher than the pitch you're actually playing. After the pick harmonic, he bends the B flat up to C again, releases it, plays the A flat, little vibrato, B flat, up to C again with our bend, A flat again, down to F at the 15th fret of the D string. that whole phrase. That 4 bars sounds like this. Now this last section of the solo ups the energy a little bit, and coming out of the previous measure, there's a couple of pickup notes, and it's an A flat at the 13th fret of the G string, and then I think he intended it to be the F note at the 15th fret of the D string, but he doesn't quite hit it cleanly. And so you kind of get a muted sound, and the 2 notes sound like this. That gets us into the next note, which is a whole step bend of the B flat on the 15th fret of the G string up to C. So it sounds like that little muted note there. We're going to re-articulate that bend. Let off of it down to B flat. Hit the A flat at the 13th fret. Then the F at the 15th fret of the D string. Whole thing sounds like. We hit the A flat and the F again. Now we're going to bend the E flat at the 16th fret of the B string up to F and then release it. When we release it, we're going to pull off to the C note at the 13th fret of the B string. Then he employs a super cool phrasing technique where he's going to hit the B flat at the 15th fret of the G string, and he's going to bend up the A flat at the 13th fret of the G string with his first finger to match that B flat. Let off of it. We play F, E flat, F at the 15th and 13th frets of the D string. And here's a very slick phrasing technique that you hear a lot in sort of southern rock and blues. He's going to do an upward sweep picking motion. I would call it a rake. And he plays sort of a triple stop. He plays the C note, A flat note at the 13th frets of the B string and the G string. And then he plays the F note at the 15th fret of the D string. That whole part of the lick sounds like this. Chord switches to B flat 13th, and he plays what almost sounds like a country lick to me. We're going to play D at the 12th fret of the D string, 2 F notes at the 10th fret of the G string, then we play A flat, F, so we go 13th fret, 10th fret, G at the 12th fret of the G string, back to the F note. Now we go to our A flat diminished chord, and he's going to bend the G note at the 12th fret of the G string up twice to A flat, play an F note at the 10th fret of the G string, D at the 12th fret of the D string, and back to our F. So basically, he plays 3 of the 4 chord tones of the A flat diminished. I think it's great how he works those little bends in there to hit that chord tone. Very creative. Many players would just blow through a straight diminished arpeggio. I think this is far cooler. Now he comes out of that last phrase over the diminished chord by sliding out of the D note at the 12th fret. That entire phrase, played slowly, sounds like. Now he starts off the last 4 bars with another little rake. This one's going to be downward, and he plays a double stop at the 13th fret of the B and E strings. And then he works down the F minor blues scale. He plays B, B flat, A flat at the 16th, 15th, and 13th frets of the G string. Goes on to play the F note at the 15th fret of the D string, E flat at the 13th fret of the D string. And now he does one of the coolest licks in the whole solo to me. He plays over the B flat 13th a 6th interval. He leads into it with a D flat, then he plays D and B flat. Now, you've probably heard the cliche of sort of sliding 6 where you might hear something like. He avoids that cliche by going chromatically up E flat, E, F, then B flat, and then back to A flat at the 13th fret of the G string. So that lick sounds like. Then he plays F, E flat, and F at the 15th and 13th frets of the D string. And finishes off, we got an A flat note again at the 13th fret of the G string. Whole thing sounds like. Slides down and then up out of the note and ends the solo with a trill of a C note and an E flat note at the 13th and 16th frets of the B string, and finishes on the F note at the 18th fret and slides out of it. This isn't a shred solo, but there are so many things in it to learn that will carry your playing forward. And remember, tone, taste, and phrasing will never go out of style. Thanks for watching. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and as always, you keep practicing. I'm going to keep making videos that are going to help you make sense of soloing. See you soon. Bye.